The Witch and the Warrior. Chapter 1. A world in twilight. A perpetual twilight clung to the land, the weight of the Dark Ages heavy in the air. The ancient ways, once vibrant and free, now flickered like dying embers as the iron fist of the Catholic Church tightened its grip. Witches whispered their incantations in shadowed corners. Elves fled deeper into the dwindling forests, and the howls of hunted orcs echoed through the desolate moors. A bitter war raged between the faithful and the Faye, each side fueled by fear and desperation. Yet, unbeknownst to the Faye, the Church held a cruel advantage. A captive sorceress named Aries, a name whispered with both awe and dread. This was particularly tragic, as Aries' childhood within the Witch Coven had been marked by a rare and potent magical talent that set her apart from her peers. While other young witches painstakingly learned their craft, magic seemed to flow effortlessly through Aries, allowing her to levitate objects with a mere thought, weave illusions of startling realism, and command the elements with a power that belied her years. Her extraordinary abilities, however, proved insufficient against the brutal efficiency of the Church's assault on their small village in Oakhaven. Ambushed in the dead of night during a vicious siege, the villagers were caught completely off guard. Aries fought with a ferocity born of desperation, her rare magic unleashed in a desperate attempt to defend her home and loved ones. Yet the Church's forces wielded blessed enchantments specifically designed to suppress witchcraft, and despite her valiant efforts, her family, sister, brother, father, and mother were captured. Faced with their immediate peril, Aries was forced to concede, her powerful magic rendered useless against their captivity. Now this very talent was her prison. They languished within the Church's dungeon, its holy wards a suffocating barrier against her extraordinary abilities. Time and again, Aries had unleashed the raw power that came so naturally to her against those blessed stones, only to find it shattered like brittle glass. A decade of her magic, a lifetime of bitter servitude. That was the price Aries had been forced to pay. Each spell she wove for the Church was a fresh wound to her spirit, a betrayal of her own kind, in exchange for the fragile hope of her family's freedom. Yet, even as darkness threatened to consume the mystical races, a flicker of defiance remained. In the shadowed corners of the world, a legend was rising. Chapter 2. Beacon of Hope. Eldarion, a fearsome warrior, a master swordsman, their secret weapon against the encroaching holy tide. From his first breath, the whisper of steel and the rustle of ancient forests were Eldarion's teachers. Elfin-trained in the art of war, his very existence was a blade honed for justice, a promise of vengeance for the countless mystical beings butchered by the Church's zealous crusade. The weight of their stolen lives pressed upon his young shoulders, the collective hope of a fractured people resting on his every move. Destiny was a path etched in blood and whispered prophecies, a path Eldarion walked with unwavering resolve, his heart yearning for the peace that had been ripped from the lands he held dear. On the battlefield, his might was legend. A single arc of his enchanted sword, Inferno, unleashed hellfire, consuming any who dared stand against him. Forged in the abyssal depths, the blade pulsed with ancient power, each generation of its wielders adding another layer to its terrifying might. The Church had learned to fear his name, each victory a stinging defeat, each fallen soldier a testament to his unstoppable fury. Eldarion had become a specter haunting their prayers, a force that must be extinguished. Each victory of Eldarion was a nail hammered into the Church's confidence, his name a venomous whisper on the lips of the clergy. He was an unyielding storm, and the high priests knew that such a force could not be allowed to rage unchecked. Their fear, however, began to coalesce into a desperate strategy, a twisted counter to Eldarion's might. Whispers of a captured sorceress, a witch of unparalleled power forced to serve their will, began to circulate within the Church's inner circles. They spoke of Aries, her magic a formidable weapon now aimed at the very people she once belonged to, a dark mirror to Eldarion's own unwavering resolve. The Church saw her not just as a tool, but as a potential key to finally crushing the Fae resistance, a tragic pawn in their holy war. Chapter 3. A Witch's Ploy. In the shadowed halls of the cathedral, lit by flickering candlelight and the stern gazes of holy men, the order was given. Aries, the witch bound to their will, would be the instrument of Eldarion's destruction. Yet within the crumbling tower where she served her sentence, a different plan was taking root in Aries' heart. Her alliance with the priests was a fragile facade, a means to a desperate end. She saw in Eldarion not a monster to be slain, but a beacon of hope for her people, his courage a blazing fire against the encroaching darkness. With carefully chosen words, laced with feigned loyalty and a hint of cunning desperation, she had swayed the skeptical priests. Instead of outright execution, she proposed a different fate for the elfin warrior. Enslavement. He would be broken, forced to serve their cause as she had been. Doubt lingered in their eyes, but the allure of wielding such power ultimately won them over. A cruel laughter echoed through the hallowed chambers. With the witch's powerful magic and the elf's brute strength, they proclaimed, their voices dripping with self-righteous fury, the unholy creatures will finally be crushed.